Hello, vinyl community. Welcome once again, and I appreciate you stopping in. If you just drift by or you're looking for us, Tony's LPSRUS. Today's topic is the Beatles, not the Beatle albums themselves, but other artists who have covered the Beatles. Some of my favorites that I remember having and through the years picking up. The Beatles uh, catalog has been covered in its entirety by other artists, which is a phenomenal statement. Meaning, every song that the Beatles ever recorded studio wise has been covered by someone else. That it could include jazz, reggae, orchestrations, big bands, jazz. I have Buddy Rich doing Beatles. I have the Philharmonic doing Beatles, Baroque Beatles, and like I said, every song has been covered at least once. Yesterday is the most covered Beatle tune, and maybe in one of the tunes ever written is by Paul and the Beatles. I believe over 1,600 times, and that's yesterday. And I got started with the Beatles. Probably in the 70s. And I picked up my first album pickup of the Beatles was the Red, which is a phenomenal compilation. The mixes on here are great. These are all stereo mixes. This is probably Apple. Here's the Inner. I believe these were first on Apple. And here's the, I can't pick this up yet. I have to adjust this, but that's Apple there. And also 67 to 70, which is the blue. And this covers more of the psychedelia Beatles, the modern Beatles. And this is an Inner. These are doubles. And that's also on Apple. And it has a nice blue label into which is an Apple into it. And what I did was after I fell in love with these records, I went back and got everything, through record stores, outside flea markets, etc. And what I started to do was I started to collect Beatle covers because I started to see say Richie Havens would do 3 or 4 Beatle tunes, and they were great. Then I would see a Ramsey Lewis jazz record with Mother's Day Son on it, and that was great. Then I started buying records that had Beatle covers on it, or 1 or 2, or usually at least 1, and my collection has grown since then. And I have every Beatle album since I bought the Red and Blue. So I'm going to go over some of my favorites that I have pulled here. And these are covers, not just copies of the Beatles in their format of the song, in the arrangement rather, but these bands have made it their own. It's not just phoning it in. These bands have covered it, and they made it their own. And one is a great one is Eleanor Rigby, and that's Booker T and the MGs. This is on Stax. Eleanor Rigby is one of my favorite songs that I hear covered by other groups. And here's the Stax label. Getting too much light there, but there it is. And this clocks in at let me see, 3:24. Here's another great one is the Beach Boys Party. Okay, this is on Capitol. This is supposedly recorded live. It may not be recorded live. It may be recorded with live applause and ambient sounds dubbed in. But on here, they do a few Beatle tracks, believe it or not. And this is on the Rainbow Capitol, as you can see. And on here we hear from the boys to the boys across the pond is I should have known better. Tell me why. And you've got to hide your love away. And these are cool because you hear the harmonies. And this is a nice tribute to to the Beatles from the Beach Boys, and that's obscure. You don't see that listed in lists of covered groups that have done the Beatles. This is a great one. I've had this. I can remember buying this in high school because I heard this on WNEW FM. It's a Steve Hillage, and on here he does Taxman. Oh no, on here he does. It's another Harrison. It's All Too Much, and this is on Atlantic. And this is just a great version of Taxman, and this is on the 70s the 70s Atlantic label. But he makes it his own. The guitar, that fuzz tone. It's Steve Hillage is an excellent guitar player, and his vocals. I believe he actually does the vocals. So it's a great pickup if you ever see that. That's not really listed too often. Another great Beatle cover person, and one of the best and one of the earliest, is a folk artist, rock artist who's blues, everything, the best, Richie Havens. And this is 1983. And this is on MGM. It's a gatefold. And here's an inside. And this is a double. I actually met Richie Havens at a local venue up here in the Northeast. And he was pretty cool. He actually signed some records for me. I talked to him a little bit, but he was always did Dylan. He always did a lot of the rock pop bands of the time. And on this one, he does Strawberry Fields Forever. He does that's just that on this album. And here's the insert for the record. He also does Beatle-wise With a Little Help from My Friends. And if you don't know Richie Havens, and also She's Leaving Home, an excellent She's Leaving Home. Very emotional, just him on guitar. He has a weird chord tuning technique. He plays like his hands actually go around the guitar from the front. And he makes it look easy, but it's not imitatable. But Richie Havens has done, I would say, 10 or 15 or more Beatle covers, and I have them. So I just picked out a few for the video. This is another great one, which I picked up a while ago. Love's a Prima Donna, Steve Harley, a solo album. I think Steve Harley was with the Cock Rebels, which was an English band. And if you can see the label, because I'm getting glare, but the label has a silhouette of, and this is on EMI. This is an import, I believe. And here's the regular price from Special Buy. It was a cutout. Sutton Records was a one-stop. They dealt with WEA and some other labels. WEA was Warner, Elektra, and Asylum. Or Warner, Atlantic, and Asylum, and Elektra. WEA. And this is produced by Steve Harley. And here he does Here Comes the Sun, another Harrison song, which is fantastic. And this is not on most lists. This is one of my favorite covers, The Carpenters, Karen and her brother Richard. And here they do, this is a remastered. This record is an audiophile sounding record. And what her brother did, Richard did, was, I believe he went in and he somehow boosted the sound of these. And in between each track, there's a medley. So the tracks flow within each other. This is a great one. I first heard this at a friend's on SACD, and I said, if it sounds that good on SACD, the record must sound good. And I was right. The singles. This is the singles. And Ticket to Ride's on here. It's 410. It's the third track on side one. And it's such a haunting lyric. The way Karen sings it it has a whole different meaning from me, in my opinion, that when the Beatles did it. It's just so poignant and from the heart. And that's the Carpenters. And of course, I had to pull out. Here's the album. I had to pull out one of the multiple covers. Is Beatlemania, the Broadway show from New York City. All songs Lennon McCartney. I don't think there were any Harrison tunes on here. And these guys who were in this Beatle fab group recorded live at the Winter Garden Theater. This is not the Broadway. This is the Winter Garden. But I believe Beatlemania may have been on Broadway. Here's the inner. And on here we do, they have it listed by era: Flower Power, Dropping Out, Bottoming Out, and Moving On. Moving On, The Long and Winding Road, Let It Be, Flower Power, All You Need Is Love, Dropping Out, Fall on the Hill, Got to Get You Into My Life, Michelle, Get Back, and Bottoming Out, we have Revolution, Jude, so you get the idea. But this is Arista and the play Beatlemania. This was recorded live at the Winter Garden Theater. Winter Garden Theater, I believe, is Broadway. I'm not sure if it's there anymore. I'm not a play guy. I'm not a Broadway guy. I'm a record guy. But if you ever see this, I don't see this too often. But this is cool. This is good if you're a Beatle collector. Here's another favorite that I picked up years ago and really make it their own is the Vanilla Fudge, the 60s. And here they do a great psychedelic version of Eleanor Rigby. And it clocks in at over 8 minutes. And this is incredible. I played this at sessions we have at different, different shops that sell audio equipment. And they also do Ticket to Ride. The Ticket to Ride is not my favorite as the Carpenters when they do the Ticket to Ride. But really nice pickup. And it's on the Atco label. Getting the glare. That's Atco. And another good one, which I thought was underrated, which was the Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band movie, starring Peter Frampton, the Bee Gees. It has an all-star cast. But the thing is, the quality of this is really good. It comes with a poster. It's a gatefold. Here's the poster. And the movie's terrible. The movie's terrible. But the soundtrack is great. You have, just to go over a few, You Never Give Me Your Money, Paul Nicholas, When I'm 64, Frankie Howard, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, which is Peter Frampton and the Bee Gees, Because, Alice Cooper and the Bee Gees, Get Back, Billy Preston, Carry That Weight, the Bee Gees, Golden Slumbers, the Bee Gees, A Day in the Life, Barry Gibb and the Bee Gees, Getting Better, Peter Frampton. It's the majority is Peter Frampton and the Bee Gees, but Aerosmith does a great Come Together, which is worth it by itself. Here Comes the Sun, Sandy Farina, and there's a great Earth, Wind, and Fire, I believe, Got to Get You Back Into My Life, which is listed on a lot of the best Beatle cover songs on somebody's list. So this has one of my favorites on here is the Donald Pleasance actually is credited on part of I Want You, She's So Heavy, along with the Bee Gees and Paul Nicholas. So this is the embossed cover. You see that? This is a cutout. But I see these and it got a bad rap, but the music is recorded sonically superb. And it has a lyric sheet or a credit sheet, rather. Okay. And this is on RSO, with the Bee Gees on RSO. And this is an obscure one. I'm really glad I got this. If anyone out there knows the MOJO magazine from, I believe they're England, or they're actually in the UK, And MOJO is a magazine that it's a monthly magazine on the pop rock genre. And they also, when you get the magazine, it comes with a CD of songs of a topic that's being highlighted in the magazine. I've seen, I have The Who, Muddy Waters, the Blues, Rod Stewart. So there's a bunch, and the Beach Boys and the Beatles. But this one, it doesn't happen too often, but they would give you a CD rather in those packages, which is cool. CDs are cool. But in this case, it comes with an album, a 12-inch record, okay? And you can imagine, very collectible, okay? So instead of a CD, you got the record, and here's the Obi. It comes with an Obi slip. You can see here. Comes with an Obi, which is cool. Inside this month's magazine, Let It Be. Okay, and the Obi reads, this month's magazine, Let It Be, The Aftermath by John Savage, Apple Records, the full inside story, and it has the highlights of the magazine. But here's the record. It's on Apple. It's an Apple replica. I'm not sure who presses for them, but on here is some great covers that are obscure, but they're really cool. Oh, they also did a Pink Floyd, which I have on vinyl, of I believe it's Dark Side of the Moon, and so there's reimagining of Dark Side of the Moon, and there's Judy Collins is on here, The Long and Winding Road, Jim Jones Review, Get Back. One of my favorites is Wilco Johnson, The One After 909, and John Grant, Two of Us, Beth Orton, I Me Mine. And so just pick this up. And this is actually in mono. Before mono actually started coming back, I believe. So MOJO, and this is mint. This is one of my treasures. You don't see this too often. It's available online on the used circuit. And so that's it. There's tons of Beatles covers. Like I said, there's jazz, every genre. And it's really cool to hear the band do it their own way, but it retains that Beatle magic, that Beatle chemistry, the Paul, John, George, and Ringo. And as I usually do in most of my videos on my channel, I'm going to pick a sonically superb regular pressed album, not audiophile, but with audiophile sound. And since we're doing Beatles, I'm going to pick out a Paul album, and this is Back to the Egg, which you don't really hear too much about. Back to the Egg was the 7th Wings album and the final Wings album. And here you can see a hype sticker or price sticker that they pasted right onto the record. I probably got this used somewhere. I love this record. One time I couldn't find it. It has a thin spine, and I looked and looked and looked, and then I when I wasn't looking for it, I found it. But this is Back to the Wings, Paul McCartney and the Wings, their final Wings record, studio record rather. And this has Sunny Side Up, and the side 2 is Over Easy. Sunny Side Up are kind of fast rockers, with a beat, with a bass, extended bass. Sunny Over Easy is rather a little bit mellow, more acoustic. And Baby's Request is on here. Rockrista Theme, which he did at the concert for Copaccia. Reception, Getting Closer, We're Open Tonight, Old Siam, Sarah Arrow Through Me. This was produced by Paul and Chris Thomas. This was recorded at Spirit Studios in Scotland, Lincoln Castle, Kent, Replica Studios London, and EMI Studios London, which is Abbey Road. And I believe this was the first Wings album on the Columbia label. And that's a Columbia label with you could see the egg on it. And that's the other, Over Hard, Over Easy. And this is a mint copy. This is on Columbia. I believe after this, Wings catalog reverted to Columbia, then it reverted back to Capitol. And we talked about that. Here's the inner sleeve, which is cool. Great artwork. And that's underrated, Paul, and which maybe not underrated critically, but underrated as far as off people's radars. I never see it. Usually see the usual ones. I'm not sure if this sold as many. Wings were starting to wean, but this is a great rocker that really has tremendous sonic, so I recommend that. And that's it. So look around for beautiful covers. Certain guys do it all the time. Richie Havens is one, and like I said, the Beach Boys even have done them. So hope you enjoyed this episode. If you could, hit the sponsor, the subscription sponsor button, whatever you call it. It doesn't cost anything, but it helps us out. We want to get known. We want to get noticed. And that's it. So we'll be doing some more in the future, next couple of days. And hope you enjoyed this one. Keep rocking. Tony's LPs signing out. And stay safe. Thanks a lot. Ciao. Thank you.